Hello, everybody. This is also Mike Check, and you know me. I'm your host of Torn Tuesday, Clifford Broadway, also known as Quick Beam, here at theonering.net. This is theonering.net. Ladies and gentlemen, you have arrived. You have arrived at the Tolkien destination for Tuesday Live Talk. Everyone, welcome aboard. It's going to be quite an interesting day, I'm sure. And we are going to bring in a variety of voices across the spectrum.
I just want to know if you can hear my
Tolkien people,
voice.
I can hear your voice
I
very
don't
well.
care about like a wide variety of voices. I just want to hear my voice.
I can see, let's see the people. There's people on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook Live. And hello, everybody. It's nice to have you. We're going to be checking in to see that all the technical jiggery pokery is working and you can hear our voices just fine. Yes. Hello, Justin. Good to hear you. And
Cliff,
good to see you.
it's been wonderful. Thank you for covering for my absence over the last few weeks.
Well, sir,
It's
no,
been
you've been busy.
a busy time.
Yes, yes, indeed. It is. And that's good. That's good for a lot of people to get busy again. Um, I myself have done so many weddings. I have been up and down Southern California officiating weddings in big backyard spaces. And at one point, I was up at the mountains above Malibu Creek State Park. Stunning mountain vistas. Only 6 people in a family pod, all wearing masks, separated by about 20 feet in this very wide circle that looked like, well, it looked rather like the mists of Middle Earth were rolling in over the mountains as the sun went down. It was really fantastic. And I feel very good about doing things like blessings and weddings. It makes me feel like I'm contributing, and
I'm
it's been
really
it's been
happy
good.
that you're working, and
Good.
I'm really happy that you're involved in lives coming together like
It's a
that. And
blessing
I'm
for me
glad
too.
you're helping, seal the deal. I've been busy the last few weeks. I don't know if a few of you may have heard, but I was the technical director, I guess, on the Democratic National Convention that was all streaming. So everything that you saw, the caucus meetings, all the all the keynotes, all the political speeches for the DNC came
Wow.
through this exact setup that we do Torn Tuesday with every week. And one of the reasons I
How
think I got
cool.
the work is because early
Technology.
in quarantine, Cliff and I did these reunion shows before Josh Gad was ever on the scene. Cliff and I were doing Hobbit reunion with Jed Brophy and Graham McTavish. We did an
Yes.
awesome Lord of the Rings reunion with Richard Taylor, Rick Forrest, and everybody else.
That was the
An
anniversary
all-star
of Principal
cast.
Photography starting. The anniversary of them starting the production was when we got everybody together. That was quite
Yeah,
a
we were
show.
one of the first live streaming channels to get
That
some
was great.
reunion shows going, and I'm just so
Hmm.
happy and thankful
Yes.
for everybody, for the fans being there, being open to new experiences, and who knew that reunion shows would be the toast of the year. Um, So that's amazing. We've got all of our regulars in the chat room. I see you. Hello,
I can
Tammy,
see them too.
Jeff, Brennan, Cecilia, Kaylin Griffin, Ellen. We got some new people, some faces and names that I don't recognize. Ty, Nick. I see everybody, but guys, the chat room just wants to know what are we talking about, and boy, do I have news for you, Cliff. I've been waiting. I've been storing this information. As you know, the OneRing.net
Really,
has been around for 20 years. We have many spies around the
kind of,
lands, and
kind of like Saruman sending his Krebine from Dunland.
it's not
Right?
just our own spies, it's people who are trusted people in certain places in the world
Hmm.
emailing us information and sliding into our DMs with information that we did not ask for or do not request. We also like to keep tabs on
It's
everything, all the rumor mills of these questionable rumor mill websites that sometimes they get it really right, sometimes they get it really wrong. We're guilty of that too, but and so is Reddit, and so is everybody else. So the latest Cliff. Are you ready for this? I haven't even told you,
You have not. And why do you do
Cliff.
this to
I
me?
I I
Wait,
want
wait,
I want
ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask. I'm looking in the YouTube chat. I can see the people. Hello, everybody, for joining the show. Why can we ask the public? Why does he keep doing this breathtaking withholding? Why do you withhold stuff that's this important
because look,
before
you
we
you
before we
you've been
begin the
hosting some
show?
you've been hosting some wonderful shows. So Cliff, I want you to look at our audience. I want you to look at the camera
Okay,
when
okay,
I
okay.
tell
Tell me,
you
tell me.
that it looks like it's official. Weta
Right.
Workshop is traveling to New Zealand right now today to join the set in Auckland. Weta Workshop looks like they're on board.
What? What? Weta has officially gotten into the creative channels of working on this new series? Are you?
It looks like that the
I'm,
contract negotiations have been prolonged, but whatever was the holdup, the there was every
whoa.
side was doing their own part, but whatever happened, we have it on good authority that Weta
We have it on
Workshop
good
is
authority.
officially on set this week as Lord of the Rings officially ramps up starting this week in full bore production. Cliff, are you ready for this? That's not the biggest bomb of all. Ready? We have
No, wait. Does that mean that they're reusing any materials or designing stuff within
all
the
new,
world that they already had done?
all new, and we can we
All
can
new? Says who? Says who? How do
we
we
can
know?
confirm. Cliff, are you ready for this? The
Okay, what?
first season will be 8 episodes.
8 episodes.
Eight
Okay, wow.
episodes.
That's news. This is news. All of the above is really, really quite something. But my
This
God,
is Green Dragon gossip. Again, it's not official until Amazon gives you a press release. And according to our friends at Reddit, they refuse to accept any information unless there's a press release. And as we know, Amazon is so tight lipped about everything, they will not give a press release until they're
you
good and
know,
well ready.
it is indeed true that we would make an announcement like this based upon what we hear, which is usually the direct channels or the most viable first person channels to get the information from. But if they want to stay anonymous, then they want to.
So,
But
so Cliff, that
wow,
this
wow,
means
hold on.
this
I'm
means
I'm really blown away because there's been like whispers in the wind for so long that the Amazon team was trying to do something completely new, and they were trying to like just make something really very fresh and different. And we didn't know anything about Weta being involved, and it was the number one burning
the
question
number
that we kept
one.
getting every week, all the time.
And here, are you ready for this? More Green Dragon gossip. Where's my tea? Where is my tea? Uh,
Here's
Cliff, are you
here's my
ready for
here's my
this?
my filtered water. It's right here.
We have it. We have it on rumored authority
We have it on rumor.
that
What is it?
the first discussions between Amazon and Howard Shore have started.
Whoa.
And Howard
They've actually
Shore does not
they've
necessarily want to compose the whole series. He wants to be involved in the design and development, but he does not want to do the orchestrations, and he doesn't want to do the day-to-day work, but he wants to be a part of the themes. So the conversations have begun. So
wow.
Amazon
Wow.
Amazon has been listening to you, the fans. Hopefully they've been watching our show, but the idea that this show is going to start with 8 episodes, 1 hour to 90 minutes each for the first 2 episodes. So we're talking about a potential 3-hour movie for the first 2 episodes, directed by J.A. Bayona. Rumors are Weta is now involved, Howard Shore is at the table, and things are happening fast, and Lord of the Rings has officially taken over all of production in New Zealand. Auckland is all production people. Everyone involved in the film community in Auckland are only working on one project, and that is Lord of the Rings. Staff and crew of Weta Workshop are driving and flying from Wellington to Auckland this
Wow.
weekend.
You mean there's actual movement of
There's
people,
actual movement of bodies, people, sets, and
material
costumes.
work, and now this is
Material work is in
fantastic.
motion. The
This is
Amazon is
fantastic.
listening to everybody that is saying, we want 2 things in life. We want Howard Shore involved, and you need Weta Workshop's expertise. We don't trust anybody else. And if Amazon just gets those 2 people on board, have at it with the creative freedom.
That is a direct reflection. That is the direct barometer of what the fandom has wanted. Absolutely, they have been the top 2 great common denominators. And first, Howard Shore, I think, was the more greater in demand, perhaps arguably, than even having Weta be involved. But this is mind-blowing news, ladies and gentlemen. You have unconfirmed rumors. All right, let's see how much this will stick to the wall. It's like making pasta. You take a piece of spaghetti and throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. All right, in the coming weeks, come back to us at theonering.net and we will get further confirmation that what we are projecting now is true. Okay, 8 episodes for the first season, a 3-hour, are you kidding, 1 or 2 3-hour movies directed by J.A. Bayona.
2 episodes,
to be the opening 2 episodes, opening 2 episodes being 90 minutes each as a 3-hour film piece. Wow. And then what happens?
J.A. Bayona is
Mr.
potentially
Bayona
working on a full-length feature film that will be split into 2 episodes to launch the billion-dollar 5-season Lord of the Rings series. Not unlike what Zack Snyder is doing with Justice League, splitting his movie into multiple episodes.
Then is it also true that our speculating covers the involvement of the team, the Oscar-winning team under Sir Richard Taylor, under Tanya Roger, under that extraordinary, wonderful people who worked with Daniel Falconer and all the other designers in New Zealand. And they recruited people from around the world to come and work at Weta. The best of the best work at Weta.
They've brought in the best and the best. In fact, some of the lead digital artists that were involved in Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie of all time, are currently on set in New Zealand, digitally scanning every actor while they're in costume, while they're on set, for digital doubles in post-production. So the team of Star Wars and that worked on the Star Wars movies, that worked on the Marvel Avengers Endgame and Infinity War movies, are all on board on the digital aspect. We do not have any confirmation that Weta Digital is doing the Amazon Lord of the Rings series. We only hear whispers and rumors that the workshop doing the practical and physical things are involved. But the Oscar-winning Weta Digital team are not yet on board this show.
Because they should be distinctly mentioned as different entities.
They are different entities. And
okay?
I will remind
But
everybody that Peter Jackson recently sold his share in Weta Digital to
that's
Sean
true.
Parker, the co-founder of Facebook.
That's right. From
And if you
the good old
remember,
Napster days.
you remember Sean Parker created Napster. He was an initial investor in Facebook. He was famously
Yeah.
portrayed by Justin Timberlake in the Social Network movie. And Cliff, if you remember, Sean Parker
Directed
was
by
the
David
one that
Fincher.
had
Yes,
that
I
big
remember.
illegal Lord of the Rings wedding in the Redwood Forest. Do you remember that? Where everybody had to dress
Yep.
as a Tolkien elf?
Yes, I
It was on the
certainly do
cover of
remember.
Vanity Fair. Sean Parker is a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I can guarantee you that Sean Parker is using all of his connections built up through Facebook and Napster to land the Lord of the Rings contract with Amazon. He's a majority owner in Weta Digital, and he is the type of person that will not let this go through his fingers. He
Right.
needs he
All
needs
right.
this show.
That is a wonderful bit of sidebar speculation, and yet coherent to a cogent side benefit of looking at those business relationships. I'm sure that will probably be more fruitful for them in the long run. But right
Hey
now, the
Cliff, we
shock.
got we got
Hold
someone in
on,
the
I have to respond to the shock and awe of Weta designing swords, armor, helmets, archery, components, and props, and the things in Middle Earth again. Can you imagine these craftspeople, the people who designed Grond, the battering ram, with the flames coming out of its mouth and the evil spells marked upon its side, just as Tolkien had described it, and the people who designed the Black Gate of Mordor and the insane Towers of the Teeth, the design of the Argonath, and the way the camera would move in between those miniatures as the Fellowship was going down the River Anduin. The team who designed Rivendell. Oh my gosh, the way that Bag End is overgrown with flowers and the tree on top of the hill of Bag End. This is Weta. They're physically doing those builds and those props and those weapons. I have to respond to that with mind. Well, I guess there's a big red splatter of my brain right out of my skull, right on the wall behind me.
Hey, there's people
So
in chat room saying that they have friends in Auckland right now. Maybe they should give them a call. And to that, I
they
say,
should.
call them. Have them take photos of whatever looks out of place and not normal. Is it a craft services truck? Is it a
Mm,
grip truck? Does it
mm,
look like they're carrying a giant set piece that might look like an elven door? If there's a flatbed truck with tarps over it, just mosey on over with your little iPhone camera. Like, come on. Like, let's
Right.
get this going again. The OneRing.net broke some of the most impressive spy photos. Remember, we broke the huge photo of
We did.
Saruman on the spiked wheel, and everybody thought that looks like a white wizard. Are they killing Gandalf? Is this how Gandalf dies, by the Balrog on a spiked wheel of water? And turns out it was Saruman, and we didn't even get to see that scene for another 4 years until the extended edition DVD release of Return of the King. So we've gotten so many spy photos over the years, Cliff. We were just
I'm
going through the
I'm
archives of all the spy photos that people sent to us that we didn't even ask for.
I'm still surprised at the
The
audacity of
audacity.
people sending us. They sent us pictures that they were, shooting these images on these long distance cameras of a quarry in the Upper Hutt, uh, far outside of Wellington, where they had built not just two sets. I mean, how many sets had they built there? They went from the Helm's Deep nighttime set and rebuilt the location for the exteriors of Minas Tirith. And I got to go there working as a soldier in the background actor, working for the
That's
day
right.
at the location. And I finally got to see that where they had this place situated, there are lots of places on the highway going up the countryside where people could sneak a look and see what these places look like.
There's a question from in the chat room from Princess Toyner that says, "When an NDA stop leakers?" Well, guess what? People who
Mm,
leak are not under NDA. They usually just kind of mosey on set or mosey near set, or they
mhm.
camp out with a long camera lens on a mountain across the way and take
Hmm.
photos from a very far
Exactly.
distance.
Exactly.
Most of our leaks in our 20 years have not come from anyone affiliated with the production. It's up to you, the fans, and we will spread them far and wide. And people in the chat room are saying Justin is extremely excited. You don't understand how excited I am. The two things that I've only wanted out of Amazon's project: Weta Workshop involved and Howard Shore.
I'm telling you, that is the biggest news of all. If we can confirm it, we will confirm it here. When the time comes, ladies and gentlemen, we will confirm that news when we can confirm it. But ultimately, if the studio does not want to put out a press release, all this conversation is hopefully, enough to get fans excited. I can now imagine the capacity in which Howard might work. He might write a new main theme or bring in a bunch of leitmotifs that he's
He
had from his
just wants
previous six
every.
films.
What we've heard so far is he does not want to compose the main theme. He does not want to be the main lead. What he wants to do is be in the room to connect his themes from the Third Age back to the light of Elendil and Numenor and
Mm,
the kings of old.
right.
He
I
wants to
think
connect
I
the
think, I mean,
pieces.
well, looking at the Star Trek model, I mean, you would have maybe an opening theme that, like the Next Generation, repurposed a very popular Jerry Goldsmith theme, but they were the other composers who did the series. And even though that TV show was always rock solid identified with a Jerry Goldsmith piece of music for Star Trek that was from a previous motion picture, not from the TV show itself. And the rest of the show was run by multiple Emmy winning composers who worked on the Star Trek for all those years for many
That's
seasons.
right.
So
Hey,
maybe there's room for Mr. Howard Shore to come to the table in some capacity where something that is familiar from his is used in a big opening sequence kind of way, and then he'll just leave and let somebody else
that's
come
right.
in and do the
And
other
and as
day-to-day
as
work.
Star Wars
Yeah.
fans know, John Williams has been consulting on a lot of these side projects, Star Wars, over the last 5 years. Uh, so John Williams consulted on Star Wars Solo and Mandalorian. So he's not making the music, but he's definitely involved in the mix. Now, Cliff, a bunch
Hmm.
of people in the chat room saying, "Yeah, this is great news. What about the art direction? Weta's one thing, but who's drawing it?" Well, I can tell you right now, Alan, Alan, and John, Ted, they're out. They're out. They're gone. They're done. Uh,
So
John
these will be
Howe.
new designs built by familiar Weta hands.
Yeah,
That's a better explanation of what's going on. They
John
will be
Howe.
newly designed elements of Middle Earth.
John Howe, Alan Lee, Ted Naismith, they're not on this project. The
That's
only
correct.
thing John Howe has done, the only thing,
Mm,
was draw that map that you all saw and downloaded and made your
that's right.
background. That's the only thing he's done. Now, Cliff, I have more information on the
That's
art
the tease.
direction and who's actually the conceptual designer of this show. Are you ready for this?
Tell us. Tell the
Uh,
audience. We're ready. We're
we're going
ready.
to build up to this. First, Cliff, you and I have both worked in Hollywood. We worked in production in multiple levels. You were an author. You've been a writer. You produced Ringers, Lord of the Fans. You've also been on Below the Line, right? You've worked as a researcher and a licensing expert. Can you tell me
Hmm.
what is what is a what is the job of a researcher and licensing person?
Let's say that you're trying to create a film that uses other people's clips of TV shows or films or music, or perhaps there's a very visible poster in the background. And before you can have your movie released, and you want to make sure you can use that Beatles song, that song by David Bowie, and use those clips from an old Disney TV show and old newsreels with old news clips from, yeah, all that material has to be researched and discovered. What if you were using footage of the skyline, going at time lapse to go quickly from sunset to dusk to dark? But you didn't have a camera crew, and you did not go out there and sit on the mountainside and do any time lapse photography at all. You would license that footage and pay for it
That's right.
and put it inside your show. So all of the B-roll supporting footage, music, elements of video games, elements of other songs, other photo images and likenesses, even newspaper headlines. All
Now,
of
what
those
if I
things have to
told
be
you?
researched and paid for.
So when it comes to something like The Hobbit, which is a full fantasy movie trilogy, where would you need a researcher? You would probably research and license the starry sky that you see in the night sky. I don't think Weta Workshop or Weta artists drew every star in the sky. They probably found some photos and footage, and they researched the best night sky that they could. So
Mhm.
in that
They
a
do.
big epic battle scene, with the dragon, that's probably a sky that has been researched. Um,
Here's an interesting point of reference. In the award-nominated Netflix series The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, they went to fan websites of aerial footage, and every time you see a very literal, beautiful, sweeping shot of the glimmering sunrise coming over the mountains, well, that was a Dark Crystal fan who was researched, and they were found by the producers. The researchers went and found those people, got the legal paperwork in place, and got the footage to put and use into the story. Um, it happens all the time. Even when I was working for the History Channel and we did the mythology connection of the Star Wars Legacy, I was a researcher for the Star Wars Legacy piece, which was made by Prometheus Productions. Um, and you might know them from a little show called Ancient Aliens and a few other shows that they've done. So um, I had to go into the Central Library downtown into the rare books section. And what was I looking for? I was looking for ancient Greek paintings from old frescoes and palaces and pieces of Grecian pottery that were so old, nobody had them online. There was no possible, and I was trying to get reproductions of images from rare books that could not physically be taken out of the central library. They were secret and kept in refrigerated shelf in downtown vault of downtown. Amazing. That's sometimes you research, get to do wonderful types of academic and like anthropological research into a catalog of images, and those images still have to be put into the documentary and they have to be bought and paid for as well. That's what it's about.
So yeah, so researching a researcher is a quite fulfilling job for the right type
Quite.
of person. I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
say
really
it's
cool.
a creative job. It is a researcher is a research job. You have to know you have to have some ounce of creativity, but you're not actually creating. You're bringing all the assets to the table. Now, Cliff,
Mm.
since you've been a researcher, I'm glad you brought that up. You worked on the Star Wars project for History Channel. Let's be honest, so everybody has a complete sense of researcher, and I'll get to why we're talking about this in a couple minutes. Cliff, let's be honest. On the pecking order of Hollywood, and who's important, who's at the top dog, and who's getting coffee, where does researcher sit?
Oh gosh, you mean that's way, way, way down. That's way below the line work. That's that's somebody who is nowhere near the like head of department level of importance. That's not the type
Not
of
even a
person
head
who's
of
involved.
department. I mean,
Not
you're not
even
even
close.
drawing anything, right?
Actually, you're not even close to being involved in the visualization or
Yeah.
any of the creative work on the film at all. You are like a little subset. person on the film project trying to do really specific things.
Yes. So
But
so
you're
Cliff,
far away from the creative silo, way far out of that.
so okay, so I hope everybody in the chat room understands what a researcher is when it comes to filmmaking. Researchers can exist on all different projects, whether it's a documentary, a news
Hmm.
show,
Hmm.
even a feature film. If the Avengers have a painting in the background on the wall, someone researched that painting and got the license for it. The
True.
Hobbit, the Hobbit movies, directed by Peter Jackson, had researchers and licensed people because they researched things. And two of those researchers,
Hmm.
as Cliff said, is so low on the totem pole, they're not even involved in the creative.
Hmm.
Two researchers that worked on The Hobbit as researchers are now your concept illustrators and artists for Amazon's Lord of the Rings.
What? What? They're now working as
The
concept artists?
concept illustrator and concept artist for Amazon's billion-dollar Lord of the Rings series. Their previous credits include researcher on The Hobbit.
Intriguing. Well,
They've
wow.
traded John Howe for a researcher.
Okay. I have so many questions. I have so many questions about this. You know what? We should assemble a list of questions assembled by the fans.
Nick in the chat room says, Jesus. Cliff, your reaction, you're speechless right now.
I don't get it.
You know exactly what a researcher does. Can you imagine going from a researcher to the concept illustrator of Amazon's Lord of the Rings series? Can you imagine?
It may be that you've got a very lucky person who has a totally different skill set as an artist and draft person and illustrator, and maybe they have that magical skill set that they need. I don't know. I don't even know. I want to know who we're talking about. I want names. I want names. What's going
I'll
on
give you a
here?
name: Evan Shippard. Evan Shippard and Liam Beck
Previously worked on the Hobbit trilogy of films.
as researchers.
Those researchers. And that means they worked in the art department as researchers?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So if
Well,
you're a $1 billion, if you're a $1 trillion company and you've paid $1 billion for the rights to the Lord of the Rings, and you're betting the entire video prime experiment on Lord of the Rings, you think you'd want the best in the world. You think you'd pay whatever price, being the richest man in the history of the world, Jeff Bezos. You would think price does not matter. I want the best, and I want it on screen. And
okay.
currently, the only concept illustrators announced, involved, or whispered that are on set now were researchers on The Hobbit. Now, that is quite a career spike. There, I
And
mean,
that's so
Cliff, talk to me.
until we hear otherwise from Amazon, until we get to the point of getting a press release from the studio, I imagine that we have to look on IMDb just to look at the names of the
Oh
people who
yeah,
are active.
Daniel in the chat room is on IMDb right now. Thank you, Daniel. Says
Yes,
Liam did
yes.
concept art on Aquaman.
Concept art on Aquaman. Oh, so they do have a resume working in the art department for other films.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, The Hobbit was 10 years ago. Come on,
Yeah, and there's
guys.
a natural evolution in a person's career going from researcher up to higher in the art department, up and up. But do you know what? Uh, I suppose it's an act of faith, as many things are in our lives. Maybe it's an act of good faith that they're hiring the right people to bring their skill sets. I would like to learn more. Now that you've given me this information,
He
I
says
mean,
it says it's IMDb says he also did concept art on the Avatar sequels, which is Weta Workshops and Weta Digital's big movie right now. Weta is
mm,
responsible for a lot of Aquaman work and
mhm,
almost all the Avatar work. So that these guys are Weta artists that have now moved onto Lord of the Rings. But when people start talking about who's the concept designers, who's the illustrator, why didn't they pull from the depth of Tolkien artists? We're talking Ted Naismith, Colleen Doran. There's just so many people that have built artistic careers while working with Tolkien's Legendarium.
mm,
Why are none of them involved, even though everyone wants to be? Colleen
mm,
Doran has said she desperately wants to be on the show. Ted Naismith, he absolutely wants to be on the show. I mean, there's
mhm.
Jerry Vanderstelt. He wants to be involved. Every single Tolkien artist, professional artist, wants to be involved in the capacity that John Howe and Alan Lee were with Peter Jackson. So if you're the richest company in the world, run by the richest man in the history of the world, and you have decades of working artists that have developed Middle Earth. Where are they?
And the man is seen in Switzerland, sitting at his own desk, quietly sketching things and not
And that's why
working
we showed that the
in
other
New Zealand.
week. That's why we
Mhm.
showed that the other week, Cliff. I've been holding this information while I fact checked it, double checked it, checked with another source. We had to
Well,
show that
okay.
John Howe video a couple weeks ago to prepare for this conversation. And I'm glad you've been a researcher and you've explained to the audience what a researcher does, because it is quite remarkable to get to that level. And maybe he is a great artist and he just took a researcher job because he would do anything to work on Lord of the Rings. Honestly, we all would, wouldn't we? But here's my final thought on the illustrator thing.
Yeah, but the
And
person
right
had
now,
10 years of advancement to, get from a point to where they are. And I think it's the studio's clear declaration that they want fresh blood, that they want a fresh generation
exactly.
of eyes and talent to bring their paintbrush and palette and artistry to the world of Arda. And they're trying to make a breakaway from the John Howe and Alan Lee dominated visualization of Middle Earth. It seems to
So,
be a declaration of, look at us guys, we're doing something completely different.
Cliff, I want to speak directly to the fans watching because
Mm,
I really need you to hear this. I really
mhm.
need you to hear this. This is your time. This is your time. Amazon is not relying on the old establishment for their $1 billion 5-season, upwards of 50 episodes plus spin-off series license for Lord of the Rings. This is your time. You at home, you've been cosplaying. You've been building beautiful Arwen dresses and Celebrian dresses, and you've done makeup as Lurtz, and you've made your own Witch King, and you've fashioned your own chainmail and armor, and you've been sketching, and you've been drawing, and you've been doing digital drawing, and you learned 3D animation and modeling because you love Lord of the Rings. I'm telling you, this is your time. And the fact that Amazon has trusted some what we just determined are pretty low level uh, talent and escalated them to very senior, not very senior, but to senior people on the set. And the fact that they have not reached out and they have not closed a deal with any established artists, and the more young people that they can bring in, the better. It's obvious what they're doing. And to what Cliff just said, now is your time. Get your resume ready. Get your portfolio ready. Like, You know, when Lord of the Rings was filming 20 years ago, Cliff, they couldn't hire enough horse people. They said if you owned a horse or if you could ride a horse, please come to New Zealand. Please
Mhm.
get here. They needed horse people. They hired anybody. They ran out of men, so they hired every woman that could ride a horse and dressed them like men as the riders of Rohan. Cliff, we are not joking here. You fans out there, this is your moment. Amazon is open to your level of skill. Cliff, am I wrong?
No, not at all. Perhaps perhaps a bit, warmly enthusiastic about it. I think that's great, but you are not wrong, sir. You are warmly enthused. I get it. And you know what? It is a declaration that they seem to be saying we're going to let the old guard have a seat. The Peter Jackson, Alan Lee, John Howe, even the fact now that we're learning this late in the game how tentatively they're approaching Howard Shore so late, and Howard Shore seems to be kind of tentative about how much he wants to be deeply involved. It suggests that Amazon doesn't want to be beholden to the past. And it means that if they've already paid for all of the past 6 films, and we've reported already that they have paid for unused footage, maybe the reason they paid for all that unused footage is because they don't want it to be out. They want a whole new, not to use it. They're not going to use or
Yeah, it was just to
appropriate.
just to control it.
They just want to control it because they want to create a whole new living, breathing Middle Earth. And that seems to be the new challenge then, because psychologically you would have thought they would make a Middle Earth that was familiar and would be inviting for the audience to pay a subscription every month to join Amazon. Hey, you know what? I want to see Lord of the Rings. I need to subscribe to that. I'm going to now pay for Amazon Prime and I'm going to watch that show. And yeah, I guess maybe they want to do a whole very fresh new take on Middle Earth,
Now,
with new artists coming on board.
now, Cliff,
So,
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet with the reveals.
well, yeah, wow, okay.
Are you ready for
And my,
this?
okay, wait, hold on. Weta Workshop, not Weta Digital, but Weta Workshop confirmed to be physically going and working on props and weapons and things. Howard Shore being approached and in discussions. Confirmation of the first season amounting
Eight
to
episodes.
eight episodes. 6 of them will be regular episodes, but the first 2 of them will be a Part A, Part B special 3-hour event directed by Mr. J.A. Bayona.
Yes.
And also confirming that Weta Digital is not involved, and also confirming rumors. I mean, I want to draw the line between
The
what we're
artist
confirming.
rumors are not rumors. Those are facts. Facts. The
Okay,
Green Dragon gossip has a lot of stuff going on. We got facts, and we can tell you right now,
okay,
facts. John Howe,
okay.
Alan Lee are not involved. Neither are any established Tolkien artists that we know of. The only
Mhm,
people involved at a conceptual artistic level are
mhm,
people that worked on The Hobbit at a low level, and they've built their way up working on Avatar and Aquaman with Weta.
mhm. And other films, yes. Okay.
Yes. All right, the next thing. Now, Cliff, you're going to have to explain to me what this means for the first 2 episodes because you know what's going to happen. But the stunt coordinator and the assistant stunt coordinator and 4 of the conceptual artists and storyboard artists that are working on the first 2 episodes, the stunt coordinators and the art department, are all very experienced in water-based movies. They've worked on Aquaman and Avatar 2. So what does it mean that Amazon has particularly hired expertise in underwater and water-based production? And as we know, the very first confirmed set for Lord of the Rings on Amazon is one of the biggest production water tanks ever made. And in fact, it's so large that one of the stunt people already had an accident. She hit her head. She's going to be back to work soon. She can't wait to get back, but it was very close to being a very deadly accident. It was a slip and fall inside the water tank. But we have sets built in a big, huge water tank. So tell me, Cliff, we have a huge water tank. They are filming along the Auckland coast, and the stunt coordinators are expertise in water-based stunts. And all of the conceptual artists that we know of are experts in water-based environments. What does this mean?
I couldn't possibly guess. I could
Does
not
this mean
possibly
the
guess.
fall of Numenor is happening in the first 2 episodes?
I can't imagine, because the fall of Numenor is something that they would get to much later in the season. It happens
Would
way
they?
after.
Would they? Could you tell the fall of Numenor in a 3-hour epic film?
Not without first telling hours and hours of story about Celebrimbor and his relationship with Anatar, who is Sauron in disguise. Not unless I spent many hours talking about the forging of the rings, which subsequently led to the war of the elves and Sauron, and the destruction of the whole region, Eregion, or the whole region just to the west of the west gate of Moria, which is where we see the Fellowship arrive to go inside. Why would I go straight to the destruction of Numenor in the opening episode when there's lots and lots of huge chunks
what
of
would you
story before
explain
that?
all of this expertise in water-based production and stunts and artisans?
Well, I don't understand, but it might be very directly linked to, a city being submerged. But
what city would that be?
but that makes no sense, because you have to explain who these people are and how it got to that point, and what.
We know who they are. Galadriel, Elrond, we know these people. They're familiar characters. The actors look like the characters that we're expecting. So, Cliff, tell me, are all signs based on what we know as fact right now? Giant dunk tanks, first to film in the water, stunt coordinators, expertise in water, conceptual team, all water-based. What does that tell you for the first 2 episodes? What does this tell you? It tells you what you don't want to hear. I need you to say it. The first 2 episodes are about.
The first 2 episodes might involve Numenor in a shocking and unexpected way, but we don't know if they're going to do flashback or flash forward or what they're going to do. But it seems a surprising development to be able to pin down the narrative to where it might begin.
Could it be the drowning of Beleriand at the end of the first age?
That makes much more sense. That makes much more sense.
Catherine in the chat room saying, could it be just like we got in the Lord of the Rings series? We got an epic 20-minute intro narrated by Galadriel using words that Tolkien never wrote. Remember, the first things we ever saw on screen, the first words we ever heard on screen were not from Tolkien's pen. Let's remember that and how good those movies were. So would it make sense to open the series?
No, the opening words that Galadriel says is actually Treebeard dialogue. It is direct dialogue from Treebeard himself speaking to Merry and Pippin. And that's why he says the world is changing. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the air. I smell it in the air. That's Galadriel speaking Treebeard direct dialogue.
Are they using Milford sound as Numenor? Parts of it, yes.
I think it might be far more interesting to see the after effects of the War of Wrath, which that might explain why there are so many pictures of the Silmarillion being held by the actors on Instagram.
All the actors are reading the Silmarillion. All the actors were tasked to read the Silmarillion.
It covers the material end of the Beleriand, all of the realms of Beleriand, when Autumno and Thangora Drim is torn down and sundered, and its pits are laid
All
bare,
right.
and
So
all
based on
the ocean comes in and changes the coastline, and there had to be a massive evacuation of refugees and survivors out of all of those areas, which represents many, many, many hundreds of square miles of land, all sunk under the waves. And that might be what we're seeing. We'll see. We
so
will see.
so do so
Wow.
based on all of the actors posting photos of them reading the Silmarillion over the summer, based on the stunt coordinators being particularly expertise in water stunts, and based on the entire art department being experts in water design coming off of Aquaman and Avatar 2, and based on everything that we think the show is about, does that mean we might be opening with a history of the drowning of Beleriand?
Um, I hope the speculation leads to be all that Beleriand being sunk in the catastrophic changes to the continents.
Are the
Um,
Numenorians sea kings?
yes, yes,
So this
they
whole
were no,
series is going to be basically Dark Sails in Middle Earth.
no. This whole series is going to be um, the lost city of Atlantis in Middle Earth. Think, think Milo and his team searching underground to find the lost city of Atlantis.
Question, Cliff, do you think, based on everything that you've heard so far and things we have not alluded to yet, do you think Amazon currently has the rights to show the drowning of Beleriand?
That's entirely possible. Yes, it is referred to in the pages of the appendix. So yeah, I'm sure they would have no problem licensing what they need to visualize that. And Tom Shippey has confirmed in interviews that the main timeline events that happen in the Second Age uh, cannot be altered, and that I guess that whole beginning timeline at the very end of the First Age, well, that's when the Second Age begins. Is when the elves are arriving in Lindon and they're establishing new settlements because the coastland has changed and the new edge of the water is there at the Blue Mountains. And then that's where they build ultimately Fort Linden, and also it becomes the birth of the Grey Havens. And there's this, if they want to start there, then they might start there. We'll find out. So much activity in the YouTube chat. So many people here with us today. It's fantastic to have you guys here with us. What a stunning bit of reveal and information. Do we have any special guests waiting in the waiting room all this time to be talking with us? I wonder if they're still there.
I don't remember. I don't think I see anybody. But Cliff, um, like I said, this whole episode, I just wanted to come back and give you all the Green Dragon gossip all at once.
Well, yes, yeah, absolutely.
And to those saying it's not real until it's real, and you're we're speaking rumors as fact. I'm telling you right now. I told you at the beginning. I told you in the middle. I told you at the end. This is the Green Dragon gossip. Okay? This is what we hear. We try to validate and substantiate and
yes.
make sure that what we're hearing is as accurate as possible. Things do change, but this is what we know of right now. I think there's going to be some casting announcements in the next few months of huge names. We've talked about those names. We've talked about those people, a couple of them, on shows past.
Yes.
The one, and I can tell you, the Amazon really wants to keep the misdirection going. The actress that we said that is coming in to play Galadriel's mother, suddenly Amazon or someone started a rumor that, oh, she's actually in Canada shooting something else. No,
You
no,
mean
no. She's in New
you
Zealand.
misspoke, not Galadriel's mother, but to be
No, Arwen's
Arwen's
mother. Sorry.
mother.
Yes, sorry.
Calabrian, yes.
Calabrian, Arwen's mother. She is stunning, and she's a huge actress. And I loved her I loved the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I just thought it was
very good.
So much fun. It was
very good. Yes. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So
You
yes,
know,
well, we'll confirm what we can. Like I said, at least 2 or 3 times during this broadcast, when you come back to us for confirmations, we will confirm it here first, and we will say whether we were right or wrong. But to say that Howard Shore has been approached to be a music supervisor or to be in some consulting type of
involved in
position
some capacity.
on some in some capacity, and to know that Weta Workshop has craftspeople going down there to help build weapons and armor and sets is so
They're
amazing,
going to
so amazing.
Wellington. As of this week, Wellington is emptying out as everyone goes to Auckland for
Hmm.
main production. And that means we're right on schedule. We reported back in February and March of this year before COVID struck that the shooting schedule for the entire series starts in October.
Hmm.
That was the original schedule, and it looks like based on the actors, the new actors that are flying to New Zealand this month, and Weta Workshop and all the Wellington people going to Auckland, it looks like they're on schedule to start production on the 8 episodes. The first season of 8 episodes will start production next month, October 2020, as J.A. Bayona finishes his 2-part pilot. And
Hmm.
he's going to take that. He is almost done shooting that. He's going to take that and he's going to go into post production. They're going to do all the effects. He's going to go into the edit room. And our expectation is there's a few new directors that are going to take over and start doing the next 6 episodes for the first season of
Hmm.
Amazon's $1 billion Lord of the Rings. This is what I'm hearing, Cliff. Again, we
Good.
we hear a lot of things, and we could say everything that we hear. We could say it publicly, but then we would lose all credibility. And sometimes I have to stick to my guns. And for 6 weeks, almost 2 months, the internet wanted me to be wrong about Tom Shippey being off the project. Everyone wanted me to be wrong. Wanted me to be wrong.
Mm.
But I'm telling you, when we hear things and we hear it from multiple sources, it starts to coalesce. And this is what we're hearing right now. So that's the Green Dragon gossip. I can't wait to find out more and keep us all up to date. Cliff, I'm so
Wow.
pleased to see your reaction live on camera today. You were speechless at some of the things. Let me ask you this. Everything you learned today, has your perspective on Amazon's show changed?
I have many more questions. In fact, I'm so fired up with questions. I think that we should do some kind of a special thing where we should take a list, a list of our biggest, most pressing questions, things that we can get from the fan base. We can cull a list of questions, perhaps. There you go. Why don't we put together a list of questions that we want to present from all the fandom and see how Amazon Studios responds? We want to talk about where in the narrative they're filming. We want to talk about what characters we're going to see who are familiar and in direct relations to other characters who have never been adapted to the screen. We want to see who's doing the art in the art department, when we want to learn more about who they're hiring and who they're not hiring to do certain jobs in certain places. I want to ask all these questions. Don't you? And if you guys want to join us, come with us for more on Torn Tuesday in the coming weeks with my co host and producer, Justin, who has been keeping his ears to the ground, evidently getting lots of information from various sources. And I tell you what, I'm so thrilled to know, 8, that's fine. To start a season small, they're not doing 12 and they're not doing 10 episodes. It will only be 8. If it's only 8 episodes, it might be just enough to, as they say, always leave them wanting more. Isn't that how you do it in show business? Always leave them wanting more. So Howard Shore has been approached, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially reporting that, it may or may not happen, but at least they're talking about it. And we're reporting that lots of people are on the ground, feet are on the ground, and bodies are in motion, working from Weta Workshop, doing props, miniatures, uh, uh, you know, architectural pieces, and maybe, of course, even weapons, helmets, and armor.
Did that
Um,
whet your appetite?
wow, it does wet. And so
Thank you,
to the
Tammy, for
audience, I
that
say
joke. I love that. Hey, anyone that has friends
this
in
is
Auckland,
thrilling
if you
news.
have friends in Auckland, or if you're in Auckland, tell them to get your phones out. They're doing a lot of night shooting. So,
Yes, we
under
want
cover
spies.
of night,
We
do your
want
thing.
spies
We
to
want
send
spies.
us their
Slide
spy.
into our DMs. Our DMs are
Yes,
open on Twitter and on Instagram.
yes, we need
and
your
and you can
spy work.
email us anonymously.
Be our spies.
Spymaster. Our secret email is
We want.
spymaster@theonering.net.
That's right. Spymaster at theonering.net. We want spies to tell us what's
If
going
you
on in the
think it's
world,
nothing, we will post.
where they're filming.
Remember those spy reports of that catering truck that we got. I mean, it just started the wheels moving. So Auckland, I'm telling you, there's Amazon has hired every professional film person of all levels. Like, there are no people to do other jobs. The only
Mm,
thing in production in Amazon is Amazon's Lord of the Rings. Auckland has been taken over by Amazon, and it's all Lord of the Rings. So, no matter what you think is mundane, send us photos. Send us reports. If you don't get a photo, send us reports. Type us a little note saying, hey, I was out on my run this morning and I saw some people, and they were hanging out and they were just sipping coffee, but they had these weird boots on. Tell us what those boots look like. Were they pointy? Were they spiky? Did they go up to the knee? Did they look like elvish, dwarvish? Nick Cliff, I have more stuff to tell you next week, but I think we know who two of our Dwarven Kings are. But I'm going to tell you that next week. I
my
hope
gosh.
you all have enjoyed this
Oh
show.
my
It's
gosh.
great to
Wow.
catch up on the Green Dragon gossip. This is the
It
fun
is.
part. This is the fun part for us, right? It's like speculating on every drip of information, right?
You know what? We'll take everything that we can get because we'll eventually have a full cup of coffee. We will eventually get enough percolating through the system of our friendly neighborhood spies who might take out their little smartphones and take a couple of videos or photos. If you see anybody with pointed ears, bows and arrows, funny looking medieval boots, anybody's walking around with something like that, please pull out your camera phones and send that to us. We want that. We want that stuff. That's all we can go on because they're not giving us a press release.
That's all
I
we
am
can go on. Look,
I'm
and
thrilled though.
I will say this: someone in the chat room says we still have a dollar outstanding dollar bet about Kaya Scodelario.
Mm,
Um, I'm telling you right now, man. Why did she suddenly friend and follow the entire cast of Lord of the Rings on
mm,
Instagram?
mm.
Why is she commenting and they are commenting on her posts on Instagram? If she wasn't, she wouldn't know who these people are because Megan Richards and many of these actors come from the stage. They're not well known. They're not famous. This isn't like you don't accidentally become friends with 8 people that happen to all be on Lord of the Rings when you're working in Canada. I'm telling you right now, man, that dollar bet is still on. And until I get proof, until Amazon says her name, we're holding that bet open. Thank you all for
That's
joining us. We've got so much to talk about in the coming weeks. Cliff, thanks for holding down the fort. We're looking forward to hanging out with all of you for Bilbo's birthday bash coming up in a couple weeks. This is Justin, and this is the Green Dragon Gossip Show. Looking forward to finding out more gossip. As soon as I know, you know.
we're going to bring all the gossip to you and the confirmations or the disconfirmations. If we get to the point of refuting something that we found out, then we'll do that too. But thank you for coming to Green Dragon Gossip. I mean Torn Tuesday, for this is and it has once again been quite a great conversation. Thank you to everybody in the live chat on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube Live. Everybody, thank you. My name is QuickBeam2000 online, and we'll see you next week, next Tuesday, right here at theonering.net, forged by and for the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien. What? Who? Where? Hashtag fidelity to Tolkien. And I said hashtag fidelity to Tolkien is what I said.
Fidelity to Tolkien.
I said fidelity to Tolkien. Hashtag fidelity to Tolkien. That's what it's all about. And I apologize to Ellen and to Kieran and the other guests who were going to come into the show. It looks like we had too much gossip. I'm sorry. Okay. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, everyone. Be safe. Buenas noches y buena suerte. This is Clifford Broadway signing off.